for that.
Well,
Could we do that now?
Yeah, we're supposed to get 3 bids on anything of this nature anyway.
Actually, our purchasing policy allows us to use organizations such as MAP, but I can't say it right now, but the MACPP, they follow a bid process to get this. And we are also allowed to use like the state bid sheets.
Did we?
I have not used them on this.
Okay. So we really only got 1 bid. I mean,
No,
they go out and bid, but we're required to get 3 bids.
No.
No?
The purchasing policy, this is a legitimate application of our purchasing policy.
Because that entity provides that,
Already-
correct?
That is correct, they do a bid process.
Piggyback.
In fact, they have a sheet, and we'd be happy to furnish that to you, that shows that we got bids from X number of vendors, and here are the bids.
in the past.
Yeah, we'd be happy to get that for you.
No, we've
Yeah, we've seen that.
Was the budgeted purchase based off what they had on that list already? Is that how we came for building the budget to the $110,000 figure? Is that why it was so close in that process?
Well, the budget was based on, our budget we've been carrying for this truck, so it's very similar to the price it was last year.
So what was your question then, if you agreed that that's procedurally correct? What did you want to see?
I'd like to see a measure of it at some point. I have no doubts because I think as David can illustrate, that pricing comes as a result of the bid process. The way I understand it, they send these bids out to secure the best pricing and choose a vendor within that. So in essence, it is a bid process, but I think it'd be a worthy experiment, at the very least, to send a bid out upon the same process and see to make sure that the MACPP price matches what we'd hope it to be.
Yeah, kind of a check and balance.
Yeah,
Sure.
I
absolutely.
know that, no one on this council was here at the time, but I believe it was 2009, we had a similar discussion about a pickup truck.
Right.
Mr. Shepherd wanted us to go on the market and get it ourselves, and we did, and were unable to obtain a better price, and then something happened that caused the price on our original price to change, and I can't remember
It's
exactly.
possibly at that point, but there'd been enough time elapsed, we moved into a new bid year.
A new bid year, okay.
Right. In one case, following, your suggestion, we did try to use them for treatment plant chemicals 1 year. That, because their volumes, their packaging just didn't match up with what we needed, so we tried it 1 year and then we pulled out. It was just not cost-effective and went back to bidding our chemicals ourselves.
Doreen, could you go to the picture of the undercarriage? So with that picture in front of us, is there any return on investment to do kind of the spray liner but on the undercarriage based on the application of this vehicle to maybe bring some extra life to this?
I don't know if this would be worth it, possibly, I'll defer to Jody on a new truck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, on a new truck, not this old one.
This one, I wouldn't waste your time or money.
No, absolutely, I agree with you. But on a new truck, would we get, for $465 plus or minus, would we get extra life out of it if we did it in advance?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
Assuming a similar life on the vehicle, this comes to about $8K a year. If you spread it over that period of time, so it's not certainly not an inordinate amount of money, assuming that 14-year life is a normal life for a dump truck. I'm assuming they do tend to last longer than pickups based on their use.
That's correct, they are heavier.
So is this the same dump truck we elected not to buy a couple of years ago?
Last
Absolutely.
year?
Last year.
Yeah.
And
Before.
so we did get another year out of it, basically.
No.
We didn't use
Because of
it.
Well,
It's been parked.
We mothballed it.
It held the
We
ground.
were paying
up for-
taxes on it.
When did we make that decision? I think it was back in, wasn't it in April or May?
It
January.
was last-
No, I know, I mean, when we
Parked
elected
it?
not to purchase it, it was in 2011.
No, it was, I remember it well, it was January 2012.
No, I mean, when we first got on the council, Chris and I, I'm sure, voted against a dump truck at a cost of $75,000. Actually, I think 3 of us did.
Well,
On
but I
the-
thought
on
that
the
was last
budget.
year.
Yeah.
that we voted against it.
I fortunately don't bring dump trucks to you all very often, and,
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember we did vote against it last year.
I'm kind of curious as to why it was removed from service. I remember that last time this was before us, there was a list of problems that needed to be taken care of. One of them was getting the driver's side door fixed. It was inferred that because of that, it was unsafe to drive.
well, I think it was really more than the driver's side door. The thing was worn out. We couldn't use it.
So the door got...
You know, had we not, if we could have used it, we probably would have tried. The plow was not was dangerous to use. The cost to fix the plow was worth almost as much as the cost to replace the plow. So we took the plow off. We had it on standby to use the spreader if needed. However, we started running into fuel issues and other mechanical issues with it. And it was a question as do you want to spend a lot of money trying to keep it running or not?
And wasn't the passenger side floor pan rusted out to the point that somebody could fall through, if I remember right?
That was another truck.
Oh, was that
That was
another
another
one?
one of
Yeah.
them.
I'm certain this is the truck in 2011 we did not buy because that following year, in 2012, we had no snow. We had one minor snowstorm, and we all patted ourselves on the back saying, well, we got another year out of it, we didn't buy a new dump
Well,
truck. We may have done it a second time, but I know in 2011, we were correct because it did not snow that next year.
yeah, I don't remember, but I do know Mike Kress was here when we did this one last year,
Yeah.
because he actually called and was
That was
asking.
the second time.
Yeah, so I don't
I-
recall the first.
I only remember bringing it to you once. It was in January of last year.
Before my time. I remember the January.
That's possible that we just didn't include it in the budget for that 11.
I think we did.
11
We-
going into 12, we didn't.
Yeah, we didn't include it in the budget for 2011. So basically, we did keep the same truck and got an extra year of service out of it.
Well, except that they didn't use it.
But we didn't.
No,
There was no service.
the other question that I've got about it is, when it was brought before us last time, I mean, there was a list of things that needed to be replaced and an estimated cost.
Mhm.
And that's not included this time.
Well,
It seems like the staff has made the decision for us to let this sit and rust away.
you're entitled to your opinion, sir.
I don't think there was any
We took it out of
decision.
service because it was
Rusted.
not
It was
used.
already rusted when it was
Yeah, we-
brought the first time.
There was a list of things that could have been done to bring the truck up to a usable position. It doesn't seem like any of that was undertaken, or am I mistaken?
We didn't, we elected not to, and I'll tell you why, because it was not worth spending the money on.
There has to be a measure of putting in what you're not going to get out of it.
Absolutely.
And I assume that staff took the efforts to say, if we devote this much money to it, we're not going to get this much money back out of it.
Mhm.
And when we look at these sort of expenditures, in my mind, it's something that's been necessary, it seems like. It's been asked for, I think, 3, maybe 4 years in a row. They don't get less expensive to replace. I don't believe the cost has gone down in that time, has it?
No, it has not.
And the need, unfortunately, was much higher this year than it happened to be. That's the gamble that's been taken on it. And we skated 1 year without it because we had a low snow event, but now that it's been necessary, as the city grows, if we can expect to get another 15 years out of this same sort of piece of equipment, the things it'll be able to be of help with in those times, again, I don't think the need for it will ever be any less, and the cost to replace it will never be any less than it is today. The cost tomorrow will be more than it is today.
Correct.
It typically is the way these things work. So I see why, when we vote these pieces down, I don't know that you're voting to save the money, you're just voting not to spend it now, which I don't know is always the best way for us to look at that, because it isn't less expensive down the road.
Yeah, and I mean, from my perspective with this, we're not looking, the vehicle's not in service, and we can all argue whether it should have been or not, but really what we're talking about is, do we think a fourth truck is needed? I mean, because if we vote this down, that vehicle still isn't gonna be in service, so either we find the value in providing the fourth truck, or we don't. I mean,
But this was the worst snowstorm season we've had, and we got high praise from everybody, from what I understand, with the equipment that we had, and apparently this one sat on the sidelines.
well,
The equipment that we have will eventually need to be replaced and so on. So if in the course of operating the government or a business,